body shop.
Using their spare limbs. So I'm assuming, that might make an ass out of you. I mean, but I'm pretty sure the Bay Area stats.
Well, what happens when you say I presume? Then you make
presume instead of assume?
Yeah. Welcome to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host. Here's our format. A bunch of guys sitting around a bar. There's no bar. Having drinks. There's no drinks either. But we're talking business, and you, the audience, are listening in. The Best of Investing is actually a radio show that has been around since August 2010, and it airs every Saturday on Fox News Radio, 9:10 a.m. at 1 p.m. Now, we're not a political show. We're strictly business, so everyone will be happy with that. Remember, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, here we go. Did you catch the fly?
I caught him.
Okay, welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing, sponsored by Pacific Trade Exchange. Let me try that again because let me do that over again. That's a little embarrassing. Okay, let's try this again. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on News Talk 910, sponsored by Pacific Trade Exchange, your best in trade. Check them out at packtrade.org. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other business of the day. And you know our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Mark Hanf with Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing pirate lender, and Mark...
Pirate lender.
Is that right?
Don't let that get out on
pirate lender. Are you a pirate lender?
No,
okay, I'm thumping over my words. Okay, you're a private lender, yes. And Robert Shipp of RPM Mortgage. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190. You're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. And today's trivia theme is science. She blinded me with science. Remember that? Okay. You guys are too young for that movie. All right. Our website, or you're too old for that one.
Too old for that.
Our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. And we're also on television, Comcast Channel 26 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. And don't forget to record our show on a website called dar.fm. Also, don't forget to go to World Wraps in Corte Madera and Santa Clara because they're still giving our listeners a free smoothie with purchase of a wrapper bowl if you mention this show, The Best of Investing. Go there for lunch today, best wraps in town. Also, Father's Day is tomorrow, and I have the perfect gift for the man who has everything. Go to Nothing Bundt Cakes in Corte Madera. Ask for Nick. He'll give you a 10% discount for mentioning the Best of Investing. They have the best bundt cakes around, bar none. And you can call them at 415-924-2500 for details. And today we have a special guest, Dawn Fitzpatrick, who's a real estate agent. And Dawn, welcome to the Best of Investing.
Thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. And you know a little bit about real estate. What are you seeing going on in the market right now?
A lot of activity, a lot of inventory right now. People are, I think, getting out there and feeling more comfortable about getting pre-approved, and they're not as scared as the lending process. I think there was some fear out there for a while, and I think right now people, if they're positioned well, they see a lot of quality in the inventory, and I think there's people even putting multiple offers in. So it seems a little bit better.
The buyers are definitely out there, which is really cool. I know in the beginning of 2011, people were expecting the buyers to come out in spring, and they didn't. But here we are, spring of 2012, and the buyers are out. Are you seeing the same thing, Rob?
I don't know about Marin, but all the feedback I get in the East Bay and the city is 10 offers is hardly considered multiple offers. It's just amazing. I mean, most of the offers that people are dealing with are 10, 15 offers, and all of them over asking. These are assuming that the properties were priced right, but that's not been seen for years.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when, back in
well,
'05 and '06 at the top of the market, what kind of multiple offers were you
Well,
guys
I
seeing?
dealt with one with 43.
So we're still
43
not,
offers.
so we're still not
Ne-
back to the 2005 numbers yet.
No, and needless to say, the
Still a
people
lot.
that bought that house still are upside down, so.
Wow.
But that wasn't last year, certainly. It was like, we'd take one offer on a property that was listed, and now, most of those are closing, not falling out, or, so I think it's primarily by limited inventory, and the limited inventory is, there's still a lot of houses out there that people would like to get off of, but they're upside down and they don't want to start a short sale or to adversely affect their credit. I think there's a lot of people that are holding on, paying their mortgage, never made a late payment, still upside down, and have a feeling that within the next year or two or something, they'll be back up on top. And there's certainly some people who have, quote, given up and just going to move on and put their house on the market and sell it. And the short sale process is, I used to call it, as I'm a mortgage broker, and anytime there's a short sale, I said, no, we mean a long sale.
Yeah, because it takes a
Because it
long
would take
time,
about,
sure.
it could take 6 months. And now the banks are supposedly forced and regulated to make a response within 30 days. I haven't seen that exactly, but that's what they're supposedly supposed to do.
Well, Don, I've seen you've been shaking your head, and remember, we're doing this for radio, so you got to actually say words. I assume you agreed with most of the
I
stuff.
did. That's
okay.
true. That's
so,
true.
what else are you seeing out there?
I think that people, again, if they're positioned well, I think they're getting out more, which is why you see a lot more activity. I think the inventory also is proven to be very priced appropriately. There's a lot of advantage in the inventory. There's homes that are priced very well. I'm looking in Marin and Sonoma County, mostly southern Marin, even up to Petaluma. There's a lot of good homes priced well, and if you positioned yourself well, then you can really step in to a lender's office and feel very comfortable that you're going to be able to go through the process.
And when you say position yourself well, what do you mean?
I mean that you didn't overextend, you're qualified well, your job is secure, you feel comfortable getting into the market now, and you feel comfortable that even if you're going to step in and purchase something now, you're not going to be upside down in 12 months.
And are you seeing that people, like Robert was saying, some of these people are staying in their homes, they're paying their mortgage, but how long is it going to take for the market to go back up to where they're not upside down? What's your opinion?
Yeah, wish we all had that crystal ball. It's difficult
no
to say. Yeah, it's really difficult to say. It depends on when they purchase their home, what level they're in. If they're under 5 and they purchase their home, they're probably going to be in a better position than if they bought their home years ago in the 9s above, because that's really taken quite a hit. But it depends.
My
also the
limited experience here, I mean, I have some clients that are selling their house on a short sale, and it is selling for about 60% of what it was appraised at the height.
Height.
Yeah.
There's no such word as height.
At the height.
There's no such word as height. I'm teasing you. Look it up in the dictionary, but I'm teasing you, Robert.
Well, the May numbers came out for this week, and what was interesting is what they're saying is unit sales are up in the Bay Area 26% year over year from last May, and I just think that's outstanding. And one of the things the article also mentioned is that a lot of those gains are in the $500,000 plus market, which I know really lagged a lot last year. So you mentioned, Robert, that there's a lack of inventory out there, but at least from a number standpoint, 26% jump in the number of unit sales year over year. That's driving, obviously. I mean, that's the reason why there's a lack of inventory, because what's out there is being snapped up, and now we're starting to see multiple offers. So it's kind of interesting. But then the article again continues, as all of these articles do, about what's happening in real estate is the pre-foreclosure, the shadow inventory. What are the banks doing? When are they going to release that stuff? How long are they going to let people stay in their homes without making their mortgage payments? And so,
Still 2 years?
That's not the record yet. I mean, it's close to 3 years from what I know, and that may not be the record.
Well, yeah, in like the East Coast states where they've got the judicial foreclosures, that's where I think that is the longest. I did
Sure.
see the numbers. I got an article with numbers from the West Coast states, and California now is at 275 days average. Nevada is at nearly 500 days.
And that's from the time that the actual
Notice of default.
notice of default goes to courthouse sale.
All right, guys, we're going to cut to our first, guys and gals, we're going to cut to our first commercial break. Before we do, though, we had last week, we asked the special trivia question where the winner was going to receive a 2-night stay at the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel. Americans buy enough of this to wrap around the earth 5.5 times. What is it? Well, Johnny from San Jose knew the answer. Weed eater line.
Oh.
Isn't that amazing? You buy that much weed eater line?
Are you kidding me?
Isn't that amazing?
We had a winner for that.
It's crazy.
Wow.
And located between Los Angeles and San Diego, the Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel sits on a 150-foot bluff with panoramic whitewater views of the Pacific Ocean and 2 miles of sandy beach. The resort is a reimagined surfside retreat that awakens the guest's senses with its unique oceanfront setting and remarkable service heritage. As the premier destination for travelers who desire a playful approach to Southern California luxury, the resort features Raya, a restaurant concept by Chief Richard Sandoval, 180 Blue, an oceanfront lounge, and Jean-Michel Cousteau's Ambassadors of the Environment, offering a one-of-a-kind eco-adventure. Visit ritzcarlton.com/Laguna Niguel. I don't know if you guys have ever been there. I have, and it is a phenomenal place. And remember, the theme today is science. And here is our first commercial break, and here's our first trivia question. What is the E in E equals MC squared? The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What does the E stand for in E equals MC squared? Any Albert Einsteins around here?
Emily.
No.
Emily? Yeah, that's not it. E stands for Einstein, right? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, email address, and speak slowly and spell out your information, especially your email address, 1 letter at a time. And we will be right back. Excellent.
Energy.
And Robert, there is a word, hike. Edward
Hike?
Sander didn't- yeah.
Yeah. Where'd it go?
So do you,
Generally not a primary
When wet.
residence, but I can do
Instead of
purchase on
Sagittarius or
primary. My loan
Capricorn
has
or-
to be for under a year.
Just remember to, if you're talking to Robert, just remember to kind of pivot like that if you can.
So Robert, are we going to talk about
Yeah.
Robert Stockton deal he just
Yeah,
did
I wanna
with
get it.
ridiculously
Like,
low interest
that's
rates?
awesome.
yeah, I would love to hear about
Yeah,
that.
okay.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money, Robert Schiff of RPM Mortgage, and our special guest, Don Fitzpatrick. And when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question. What is the, and it's the theme is science. What is the E in E equals MC squared? Don, I heard you give the answer.
It's true, energy.
Energy, that is correct. You must be a science major. Okay, Robert, you had told us a pretty fascinating story off air. Give us that story, what's going on?
I was at a seminar the other day, and one of the processors for my company is a young lady, and she just made her first real estate purchase as an investment, and she did it all on her own. She went to the computer, got to Redfin, and looked up some property in Stockton, and she ended up buying 4 units in Stockton. And after her down payment, which was probably $30,000, she is renting out the property. It's already been rented, and it's a 4-plex, and one of the units' rents pays her mortgage, her taxes, and her insurance. And the other 3 go into her pocket to reimburse her for her down
That's
payment.
amazing.
So I figured even with vacancies and with the cash flow, the cash on cash for her down payment is something like 50%.
It's funny because you think, gee, she's cash flowing positive, and she could be 75% vacant.
Yeah,
That's
and
incredible.
she said she and her fiance, who's a fireman, he's not afraid of going into the places to fix up. So they're going to be buying places in Oakland and some of the places that are really distressed, and they both said that the people living there are great tenants. They just want to be left alone. They want to pay the rent on time, and it's not a problem. And they're expecting to have maybe 25% vacancy, which is not turning out to be the case.
Yeah.
So
How much are the rents?
the rents are like 6.25, I think, something like that.
So this is a fourplex in Stockton.
Just a cookie cutter fourplex in
Do you know what she
Stockton.
paid for it?
Something like $140,000.
See,
And
that's
I
just
asked her, I
astounding.
said,
That
well,
is
you're working here and you guys live in the East Bay. Why wouldn't you go to even the canal area in San Rafael or Petaluma or Santa Rosa?
Probably
She
can't get the
said,
same
figures
deal.
aren't there.
Yeah.
Right, that's it, that's exactly
So
right.
they're looking in Stockton, maybe Vallejo, some parts of Oakland.
What kind of interest rate you think she got?
On that kind of loan, that's 1 to 4 units, a Fannie Freddie loan, probably 4%, maybe in the low 4s.
Wow.
30-year
fantastic.
fix, a 30-year fix for 4 units in the low 4s.
Now, of course, you had to qualify for that, for the
Yeah,
for
they're
conventional
both-
investor loan.
Yeah, they both are working and
Yeah.
gainfully employed, and, when you qualify for an investor loan, the bank's gonna look at your housing costs besides the investment and what kind of ratio that is to your income, and then they look at the property you're buying, and they'll give you credit for 75% of the rent, and they'll balance that against the mortgage payment, taxes, and insurance.
And who was the seller? I mean, just
I
an
think it was-
individual?
I
or
don't
was it
know,
a
I don't
bank?
know if it was bank-owned or an individual or not.
Yeah, because you'd think that whoever sold it would have thought the same
Probably
thing.
bank-owned.
Well,
Probably.
it was either bank-owned or it was a short sale, someone was upside down. They certainly weren't getting positive cash flow, but what I just found astounding is that they were able to go on to Redfin. You know, here people are complaining, I hear it all the time, oh, there's hardly any inventory out there, but it's just not true. I mean, if you're tenacious and you study the market and you make offers, I mean, you gotta step up to the plate and swing the bat. Nothing's gonna happen.
This woman has a full-time job as a processor, and believe me, I know that's a really time-consuming and energy-consuming job. And yet here she is doing this on her spare time, and really researching it, being thorough, and not being afraid. And
Well, Dawn, you've been a little too quiet. You have
No,
any
I'm just listening to all of
listening?
this. No,
Any
it's
any
good.
comments? on it?
The situation in Lodi, I've got a group of people who are looking exactly for what you're speaking of. And they started in Marin, started in Sonoma County, found out the same thing. The numbers just don't work. So now we're going up towards Sacramento area in that. And they're in the process of looking for a lender. They've got everything together as far as their finances are concerned. And that we're finding the same thing, is if you get further out of this area, you're going to find opportunities like that.
There's a limitation too to how many units, how many different loans they can have, right?
I think the Fannie Freddie rule is, I think it's
5?
eight, I think
8?
it's eight properties. I'm not sure. I'll have to check on that.
Yeah, and get back to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I'll
and
get
there's,
back to you on that.
every bank, isn't it true that every bank has kind of their own formula for that? Some it's 4 properties, other it's 8, maybe
Yeah,
it's 10.
there's general Fannie Freddie regulations, and then different banks have different overrides or cutting back on the Fannie Freddie regulations.
You know, getting back to how your client there was able to find that property, you know, I saw an article this week on Bloomberg that talks about private equity has too much money to spend on homes. And the article is about all these hedge funds and other syndications that are being put together, raising literally billions of dollars with the intent to go out and buy foreclosure property or to buy in bulk from the banks. And the article says there's approximately $6 billion committed to buy all these foreclosure and or REO properties, but they've only been able to identify about $2 billion worth of homes that are available. So
What are they going to do with the rest of the money?
well, I guess they're going to have to give it back, or maybe it's
Oh,
committed
yeah,
but not
that-
funded.
Good luck on that one.
They'll leave it with
Good luck on that
Madoff
one.
until they find more.
Yeah,
properties.
yeah, exactly. Okay, guys and gals, here, quick little special promotion here. The group War is supposed to be playing at Moore's Riverboat, which is located down the street from the Lighthouse, on June 24th at 5 p.m. And each week we're giving away a little trivia contest, and the first person with the correct answer wins 2 free tickets. So here's this week's question. This is an easy one. What game introduced in the 1960s might you have heard from the person spinning the arrow, right foot red or left foot yellow? The first caller with the correct answer is going to win 2 free tickets to War at Moore's Riverboat. Call 888-912-1190 and make sure to include your email address, your name, and speak slowly and spell out each letter if you want to win. We're going to cut to our second commercial break, and here's the second trivia question. Again, the theme is, she blinded me with science. Well, no, just science. Okay. You guys don't remember that movie?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there we go. I thought I was alone here in this world. Okay, the word
Oh.
SCUBA is an acronym for what? Right? It actually stands for something. The first 3 callers with the correct answer are going to win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website, check them out. Lighthouse, the number 4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, your email address, and again, remember to speak slowly and spell out your information one letter at a time, very slowly, please. Some people spell it out, but they go so quickly, I have to listen to it about 6 times. And we'll be right back. Okay.
Let's see if we can meet a U-boat association. SCUBA. What does SCUBA stand for?
I used to know it.
I know it. I knew it
Used
before.
to know
I
it.
thought, Robert, you probably knew it one time.
No, I did know it at one time.
Hawaii sailing.
No, the other answer is Twister.
Yes.
Yeah, Twister, which is especially fun to
Wasn't it?
play in the nude.
Wait a minute, what?
Twister, the game that's especially fun to play in the
This is a family show, remember,
nude.
please.
Or how to watch people play.
Yes.
Let's see.
Do you have a business card?
I do.
Oh, love it. Interesting though, on the property it was in Lodi?
Stockton.
I'm surprised though, was it on the market, I mean, MLS and it was with a broker?
All I know is she did it through Redfin, so it must have been on the market.
It's
And I said,
surprising.
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn and Robert Schiff and our special guest, Don Fitzpatrick. First of all, let's go to this special promotion. The group War playing at Moore's Riverboat. We asked this trivia question: what was the game it was introduced in the 1960s? Might you have heard from the person spinning the arrow? Right foot red or left foot yellow? Everyone, on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Twister. That is correct. And Mark, you made a comment off the air.
Oh, yeah, especially fun to watch people play that game in the nude.
And how often did you do? Oh, you've heard. Yeah.
Is that you're watching them play it and you're in the nude, or they're playing it?
Welcome. You're listening to The Best of Investing, sponsored by Pacific Trade Exchange, your best in barter exchange. This is the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. For those of you listening for the first time, here's our format. A few guys sitting around a bar having drinks without the drinks, talking business with you, the audience, listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm delighted to have as my co-host Mark Hanf of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. The vacations are sponsored by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. And the vacations are free. Their only request, a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. The website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511 and check out their new sports bar opening up May 1st. All right, now today's trivia theme is The Wizard of Oz. Remember? That'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog, too. Okay, our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. Quick reminder again, World Wraps in Corte Madera is still giving our listeners a free smoothie with purchase of a wrapper bowl if you mention the Best of Investing. Go there for lunch today, best wraps in town, and don't forget to mention the Best of Investing for your free smoothies. Now, today's special guest is Ken Winans, who is president of Winans International, one of California's most respected investment advisors, who also writes for Forbes magazine. In fact, his research is so good that Princeton University and Fidelity Investments pay him for his research. Ken, welcome to the Best of Investing, and you had a special honor recently. Tell our audience about that.
It was quite interesting. You're in your office one day and you find out that you have been nominated through Barron's to be part of their Best of Best Independent Investment Advisors Council. For you guys probably know that there's a big business to do in Sun Valley, Idaho every year, and Davos, Switzerland. So this is for investment advisors, that kind of conference. It was a lot of fun to go and hear what the survivors are doing, because it was kind of like the last group left standing after what happened in 2008.
What are the survivors
Yeah, I was
doing?
going to ask the same question, really.
It's interesting because it's actually not a bad environment. I mean, you have the markets are doing well, bonds are doing well, REITs, real estate investment trusts, have been on a tear really for the last couple of years. The only area that everybody's kind of looking at right now is, gosh, municipal bonds. With what happened in Stockton, are there other...
bankruptcies and
Yeah, it is a bit like, because we get called all the time, what's the next shoe to come down? And by the
I
way,
heard Los Angeles.
well, and San Diego,
San Diego, you've been saying that for a
county
while.
and city, I know Edward's heard me talk about this for a while, effectively, these cities are broke. And so it's how long will people keep giving them money to stay afloat? But when you start tinkering with things like, obviously, the November election, we know that our buddies in Sacramento have some real surprises in store for us on the ballot. But then on top of that as well, it's even things with the tax code. A lot of municipal bonds are no longer exempt from alternative minimum tax, which are exactly the kind of people who like to buy muni bonds. So there's just a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, also, the thing is, the counties are not like the federal government. They can't just put more gasoline in the machine and crank out more money. I mean, they may have to get bailed out. Which, by the way, a lot of the audience doesn't know that I got my start in radio due to Ken. Which, by the way, my wife will never forgive you. But that's beside the point.
I better put the Kevlar vest on when I leave.
Exactly.
Ken, what is happening in the stock market these days? I mean, other than Apple, where's the good news in stocks?
A lot of them. In fact, all the things that we're told are supposed to be bad for you actually are the things going real well. Today, Yum Brands, that you know better as Long John Silver's and Kentucky Fried Chicken, its stock hit a record
Yum.
high. Yum, you got it.
Yum Brands.
Believe it or not, tobacco stocks. British Tobacco has hit a record high. By the way, record high. Forget making up ground lost since 2007. They're at record levels. So there are those companies that have managed to make money in this environment. And then we all know the story about the disasters. I mean, certainly when you look at retail, there's some retailers that are doing really well, and then there's retailers not doing well. So
Well, let me ask you: is it with regard to the Yum stocks, as you say?
Yum.
is it because of the? Do you think it's because of the economy being down so low that people decided to go the cheap route of food? I mean, or what do you attribute to? What do you think?
This is where it gets interesting. You have some people that have not been affected by this, believe it or not. There are the one percenters, for lack of a better term, that are generally, yes, maybe their houses have lost some value, but they're not the people who went completely crazy with borrowing against their residences. They're doing fine. They have their jobs. I mean, when we hear all these terrible employment numbers, even in California, let's say that the unemployment rate is 12%. That means the opposite is true, that all those other people have jobs. Then you have the folks that were what we call the middle class that are having to do more belt tightening. You're right. They're going to go to a McDonald's or a Long John Silver's to go out to eat, or they're going to shop at a TJ Maxx. They're not going to shop at one of the higher end stores. So there has definitely been a shift in things. But it also goes to say that our economy is so diverse that there are always companies out there and products out there for anybody at any point in the social economic sphere.
I wonder if the hospitals are doing better, because some of those food places are not the most healthy places to eat. But
well, then there's also the stress factor of people who are stressed out too that have to go to the hospital. So maybe they are doing pretty good.
That's true.
Well, a lot of and of course, if in fact Obamacare gets repealed, you have a lot of the medical companies that have a vested interest in having that be repealed and go back to the so-called way things were.
So talking about tech, we were talking about, Mark was mentioning Apple. So Apple and Google stocks have had a lot of attention, and obviously prices have gone really, really high. Is there still any money to be made in a play like that?
With Apple, it's really kind of funny. I have more talks with people about Apple and gold. I mean, I spend more time, and literally today, before I came over, just people calling and say, I'm afraid the world's going to blow up, so I want to own Apple and gold.
I can understand.
In the same category.
Exactly.
Is that a hedge against currencies?
Well, yeah. At least their computers will. Well, no, they won't work.
Yeah.
Well, that's a whole different topic. But if you think about as empires change, in fact, a little trivia. If you think about the defeated empires of World War II, i.e., Germany and Japan and Italy, what are the last vestiges of those empires that survived? The companies. Think about it. The companies in Japan and Germany and Italy that were around way before the beginning of World War II were there after World War II, and they were major defense contractor for the Axis power. So isn't it funny that the companies have a way of surviving empires? They just have a way of, it's my only philosophical thought for the day. But here's the thing, that you have a situation where when people get emotionally attached to investment, you guys have seen this with properties. How many times do you find somebody who says, I love my home, I love my apartment building, I don't ever hear anybody say, I love my public storage locker, but, maybe somebody does. But the point is,
Love what's in it, maybe.
I get concerned when we attach emotion to a stock. And in fact, I told some people, I said, there's probably some people that would adopt Apple as an extended member of their
Oh,
family.
absolutely.
Right.
But I've been around long enough to see that and hey, I own Apple. Apple's been, I've done well with it. My clients have done well with it. But I'm not in love with it. Every single one of these tech stocks has a point in time. For those of us who remember AOL, remember Microsoft, remember Yahoo,
Sony.
they all have their runs. And at some point, I wish Tim Cook the best. He's the new CEO who took over for Steve Jobs. I wish him well. But there's something to be said about those entrepreneurial spirits. And when Sam Walton died, and Walmart is not the company it was when Sam Walton was, when Herb Kelleher ran Southwest Airlines, it's not the same as it is now. It's not to say they're doing poorly. It's just saying that you lose that flavor. And it will be interesting to see how Apple is in the post-job.
Well, I'm
It
still
really
waiting
will be.
for my investment in the company that produced beta tapes to come back.
No, yeah, I don't think that's going to
That's
happen.
not gonna happen?
No, that's
Yeah.
that's way past.
Should I switch over to VHS now?
No.
Okay.
Maybe go in a time warp, Edward, invent the time machine.
Hey, Ken, what about index investors? Do you have any advice for those guys? Because
Extremely careful. It's funny. A lot of people still subscribe to the buy and hold theory, and I'm just saying, look, I don't know how many more years of pain you have to take. You've had 12 years of nothing, and
Ouch.
listen, I know you guys believe John Bogle is who's the founder of Vanguard and who's the big believer in buy and hold. But after two 50% corrections in the equity market, certainly the correction we've all seen in the housing market, if you are not now a believer of the idea that you have to, there's a point in time to take defensive action in your portfolio.
Yeah, otherwise you still own buggy whip companies.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, we're going to cut back. We're going to cut to our first commercial break. We're in the studio here with Ken Winans, president of Winans International, one of America's most respected and registered investment advisors. And here's our first commercial break. Here's our first trivia question. And again, the theme is The Wizard of Oz. What was the message? These are going to be a little harder than your average.
They're
like
always
what's
hard.
the name of the dog, right?
They're always hard.
Yeah, I know, because all he knows is NASCAR. Okay, what was the message the Wicked Witch of the West wrote in the sky? Do you remember that one? Okay, the first three
No.
callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Remember, she takes her broom, she writes something in the sky, and
That's right.
everyone looks in the sky.
Mark's
What
smiling
did
like
they
he
say?
knows.
Yeah, he's been around for a while. Okay,
have
and
two
you win a free
daughters.
3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What was the message the Wicked Witch of the West wrote in the sky? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, address, email address, and speak slowly and spell out your email address one letter at a time for us, please. And before we get back, or before we cut out, I got to say one thing about The Wizard of Oz, all right? There are two things about that movie that bug me. Do you remember when Dorothy is in the witch's castle and the witch tells her that as soon as the sand runs out of the hourglass that she's going to die? I always wondered when the witch left, as the sand was going down, why didn't you just turn it back over again? And when the witch comes back, you go, see, I still have another
Too
10 minutes
easy.
to go. Yeah. Okay, the other one was, remember Glinda, the good witch tells her, when all you had to do was click your heels. She goes, why didn't you tell me that before? She goes, well, you wouldn't have believed me. And I would have said, yeah, try me. Of course I would have believed you. Okay, we will be right back. Excellent.
Awesome.
Great. Fun.
Fun, huh?
Absolutely.
I like how big you can see the numbers.
I know,
Sometimes
right?
You get some of these things you can
Got
barely
something here
see.
for you.
Yeah, I
Kramer?
know, exactly. Well, this is my little thing that I know, okay, when this gets to around 8 or 9 minutes, Edward's going to do this any minute, so.
Oh, yeah.
Edwards, it's
He's-
Hey,
great
that
to
was
see
that was
him.
probably your most flawless intro
Intro,
that
was
you've
it?
done yet.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get a little, you
I do.
usually have at least one tongue tie in there because you're saying it really fast and trying to get a lot of
There's a lot to say.
But
in
that
a
was
little short
actually
time
like
period, yeah.
flawless. I couldn't believe it.
Because you know what, he sat down at
Or
home
maybe just
yesterday
standing
all
up
day
on that
long
one.
and he did the thing over and over and over.
That's
and over.
it.
Yeah, right. It's all about practice.
That's it.
Well, he's a baptism under fire when you're having to do it live. You
Yeah.
just say, look, you're going to
Oh.
just go with it. And
Yep.
Well,
And you
I
do
like
what you
live. Actually, I'm getting used
Oh.
to this now. But
Yeah.
If you're having so much
this
fun,
feels
then
like
you
live.
should pay us.
there you go. That works.
The boys don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
what we're looking at, of course.
I always put a sticker.
Okay, why did you just put your ring in your desk?
Because I put a sticker.
I thought this was conservative talk
This is,
radio.
yes,
This
it is.
making me
Yeah,
nervous.
well, not so much.
I put a sticker on my leg here because
Well,
last time I get cold, I get hot and I pull up my leg and he was focusing on my leg, so I just started to put a
You
sticker
started putting
on
notes
there.
on it.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Man, I don't know, Edward. I think you've been a Marin too long. I'd say.
Well, welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hunt and Brian Burke. And when we cut to the first commercial break, we asked this trivia question: What was the message the Wicked Witch of the West wrote in the sky? And remember, the theme is the Wizard of Oz. Anyone?
Surrender, Dorothy.
Very good. Surrender, Dorothy.
I knew he knew it. I saw the look
Yeah,
on
no,
his face.
he's very, very good. We are in the studio here with Ken Winans, one of America's premier registered investment
Thank you.
advisors.
Appreciate it.
You've won all kinds of awards, and you've got 3 books and all that fun stuff. And he even let me write 1 page on it. Much
That's
appreciated.
right.
And
Well, I included trust deeds. It has to be included in any book on the history of investing. And hard money loans have been around for a long time, and people need to know about that.
and I even got higher billing than Warren Buffett, but I think that's just because BR comes before BU.
Yeah. Well, I have a fair number of people say, "Why can't you take him out now? We don't like him anymore. He wants to raise our taxes." I said,
You still got to
All right.
credit there.
So it's an election year. We got Romney and Obama, it looks like. And what do you think that speaks for the stock market going forward? What we get to look forward to possibly?
You want the good news or the bad news?
Both. At the same
Yeah,
time.
both.
Yeah, right.
Talking at both sides of your
All right.
mouth. I want to hear it at the
All
same
right.
time.
The
Politicians
good
do.
news is, since 1833, the stock market, the overall stock market is usually up 67% of the time, regardless of the outcome. That's the good news. The bad news is that it also depends on how the congressional and the Senate elections play out. If you have a complete one-party takeover of anything, the following year particularly is not really good. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be very volatile this year. I think that as you start hearing the class warfare rhetoric that we're undoubtedly going to hear, you start hearing talks about taxes, that hits near and dear to the heart of business people and investors, and you could start seeing some things change. The Obamacare issues, whether or not that stays intact or changes, could affect people's decision on whether or not they have any healthcare stocks in their portfolio. So it's kind of, hey, strap the seatbelts. It's going to be an interesting year.
Well, wasn't it even the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which is usually pretty liberal, that just came down with a decision that said that you can't force the workers to take their lunch break at a specific time? Do you remember reading about that?
Wait, Edward, what left-leaning journals are you reading? I'm getting nervous here.
No, that was in the
Listening
paper.
to too much
It got to
NPR
the
here.
California. No, actually, the California Supreme Court. It actually got people. I guess it was certain organizations getting complaints that hey, you're not. I have to take a break, and it has to be this time, and et cetera, et cetera. And it was like I was very pleasantly surprised that California Supreme Court struck that down.
Well, nothing surprises me what happens in California because I'll give you another example. You've probably seen these Fannie Mae pools of bulk foreclosed houses that they've put out for bid, and the California Attorney General has spoken out against this practice, saying, well, they shouldn't sell these pools of houses to investors. They should be selling them on the open market and this and that. Well, what they fail to realize is in that portfolio, 80% of those houses are occupied by tenants. And if you don't sell them to investors, you're going to displace hundreds of tenants in a very, very tight rental market.
That's a good point.
So where are all those people going to go? So they have this weird attitude about business, but yet at the same time it interferes with the general public at large and their ability to just carry on their life. So this seems to be a common thing in California. What do you think about our California political situation?
An awe is probably the best way to do it. As a business owner, a resident, and I love California. It's my home.
So
It's
do
my
I.
ancestral home. I love this place. But it's painful to watch that it seems like our local officials and the officials in Sacramento, whether or not they really get it, that they get the struggles that are going on right now. And I'm talking about the struggles as a business owner who's trying to keep their people employed, keeping them in health care, keeping them with 401ks when they retire. They're making it less tempting to want to stay here. I mean, I'm hearing from a lot of my clients who run businesses, they're saying, I've had enough. I am honestly thinking about moving. Now, when you start talking about moving to Nevada or
Yeah,
Oregon,
where?
every place has its issues. I mean, if you look at what's going on in those states, they've got problems too. But it's when you hear things like this, it's almost like government, get out of the way and let things heal itself. It will get
Right.
back to normal.
Well, that's
Right.
what Warren G. Harding did back in the 20s when he saw things going downhill, and he just said, you know what, the government should not come in and step in. Just let the free markets figure out where this belongs.
Well, and
Oh,
government
absolutely.
intervention and government intrusion, it's endless. And what's amazing, it's nothing new. It's been going on for 100 years. And in fact, the foreclosure crisis, so-called foreclosure crisis, is there's so many things going on with government intervention right now. It's one of the reasons why we don't, everyone's wondering where's that second wave of foreclosure inventory, and foreclosures are being postponed, and it's just there's a lack of inventory out there for buyers and sellers. It's an amazingly strange environment and real estate market we're in right now, and nobody really knows what's going on other than the government keeps fiddling and meddling around with the situation.
And I'll add to a part to that. I believe, and we all know bankruptcy's been around for 140 years. It is a time-tested way to have organizations reset themselves. It's kind of an alt-controlled elite. Let's get it back where it needs to be meaningful. I get worried when the Sacramento somehow, because it is an election year, they're dependent on capital coming from their backers, that they're actually interfering with that process. I actually think it'd be better to let these municipalities go through the bankruptcy. Let's get them set properly. Let's get these budgets that are out of control. It would be better for everybody.
But got to keep those pensions in place, right?
Oh, I'm not going to go down that path. I don't want to be able to walk out of here and not have problems. But seriously, no. But the sooner you rip the Band-Aid off and let these things heal, the sooner we can get back that the state can unfold its potential. But unfortunately, guys, hey, we all run businesses. We all know what it's like here. Unfortunately, I think it's still a stormy weather for California.
Okay, we're not a political show, right? But there is something that happened a few days ago that I felt like I had to bring up. Okay, and it has to do with free speech. Okay, I got to say that I don't like Ozzie Guillen as I didn't like him when he was a player, a baseball player. I don't like him as a manager. I don't like him as a person. I don't like him, Sam I Am. However, whatever happened to free speech? Because if you remember, he was saying that he was not representing the it used to be Florida Marlins, now it's called Miami Marlins, when he said that he respected Fidel Castro, right? It was just his personal opinion, and yet he got suspended for that. I mean, it'd be one thing if he says, I'm representing the or the Miami Marlins, and their position is such and such. All he's doing is just giving his personal opinion, which I don't agree with. I don't respect Castro either, but the guy gets suspended from his job for just doing a personal opinion. I mean, what's next? He's not going to be able to share his favorite cereal, that it's Cocoa Puffs, because there's not enough diversity in color. I mean, come on. Uh-oh.
Edward, you would be shocked when I do public lectures. You guys probably are familiar with the Dodd-Frank Act. This was the government
Mark's
remedy. Yeah, the government remedy to all those evil people in financial service.
Also known as Frank and Dodd.
Yeah, Frank. And isn't it funny that neither of them are around anymore? They've
Right.
left. They've all retired as we're now
Do the
dealing with the
damage
aftermath.
and-
And what's interesting is you should see the disclaimer that now has to be read when I do public speaking. I mean, it takes up a huge amount of time to basically tell people that you can lose money if you invest. Gee,
That's a new concept.
I had no
that's
idea.
Yeah, I think it was guaranteed.
but
Yeah.
it's unbelievable what we've done. And they've really never fixed the problem. I have long felt that when you have state jurisdiction, federal jurisdiction, like I find it funny that, look at insurance. Insurance is covered by states. Well, they've been saying that, look, if you would unlock it so insurance carriers could, basically sell their products across state lines, healthcare costs would actually go down. But no, we leave it by state, by state, by state. Look at the difference between, the four of us sitting here. I have to report to a different set of regulatory bodies than you guys do. We all deal with the public. Now, that's just common sense,
I
but
just
yet,
report to my wife, but she has the ultimate authority.
but they have not fixed anything. And I would say that this country, if you had quit having Swiss cheese regulation, have level, common sense stuff, and you would have a lot of the fraud disappear. Which, by the way, on this note, isn't it funny that in California, this bloated regulatory environment, they actually now have it exempt for investment advisors who advise hedge funds.
Of course.
Oh, isn't that funny?
That's where the big money is.
Yeah, isn't it funny though? Oh, no, leave them alone.
Somebody had
Yeah.
a good lobbyist.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Because they've never done anything dishonest.
Well, they used
Oh,
to
of
call
course
it
not.
pork barrel politics. Now it's just pork regulation politics. You get these, like Frankendodd was just really just thousands and thousands of minuscule regulations, most of which nobody who signed that into law were even aware of, that we're only now discovering, and the implications of it, which most of which are not helpful to the
who
public.
reads it? You know, I understood from someone that Gray Davis actually read everything.
That'd be like reading the whole vehicle code, wouldn't it? It's gotta be 1,000 pages.
Something like
Who
that.
reads that but still drives a car?
All right, guys, we're going to cut to our second commercial break. Again, we're in the studio here with Ken Winans, one of America's premier trusted registered investment advisors. And you know what? I referred some business to him in the past, and those clients are very happy. So thank you very much.
I'm glad to hear it.
Okay, here's our second trivia question. Who, again, these are a little bit harder now for the Wizard of Oz. Okay, Mark, so far you're 1 for 1. Brian, you're still waiting for NASCAR to show up in Wizard of Oz. I'm sorry.
That's right,
Okay.
yeah.
Who was originally cast as the Tin Man just prior to Jack Haley, but had to quit because of an allergic reaction? You got your hand? You know that one?
Yep, I do.
Okay, because of an allergic reaction to the aluminum makeup, which nearly killed him.
Yeah.
The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouseforfun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. Who was originally cast as the Tin Man just prior to Jack Haley, who had to quit because of an allergic reaction to the aluminum makeup, which nearly killed him? Call 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name, email address, and remember to spell out your email address one letter at a time for us. And people will know this guy. This is not just some fly-by-night guy.
No,
right?
he's very well known.
You're very well known, okay? And we will be right back, and don't touch that dial. Excellent.
Wow.
Excellent.
Who is it?
You're going to
I'll tell
find
you a story about a man named Jed.
Oh,
Poor
wow.
mountaineer, barely got his filling.
Edward, what do you want to cover the next segment?
Okay, we're going to get into email time, and
Oh,
again,
cool.
feel free to,
Cool.
jump
Right
right
in.
in. Let's see here. Yes, sir. That was an excellent segment.
Oh, that was amazing. That part you were talking
Oh,
about.
headphones off, guys, so that he can show that this is a break time.
With what?
Well, the whole thing with those pools of properties that are rented and people need them to live in, and
Put
Yeah.
rent control in for everybody.
Well, when you look at the, I mean,
That's
look
the solution.
Yeah, right. I mean, look at the financial underlying metrics. I mean, these houses. Okay, so take a house in the Imperial Valley of California. It's 3,000 square feet and it's worth $175,000, but it would cost you $300,000 to build that house.
yeah, but would you even build it there to begin
No,
with?
you wouldn't now.
No,
But the point is
you
that
get
you
carpenters to work for $4
couldn't.
an hour,
Economically, you
and get the
can't.
lumber
So
prices
that
down.
price has to increase before any additional supply can come into the
That's
market.
right.
No,
Okay.
history needs to be taught.
Yeah.
People don't follow the historical trends. Real estate stocks, they flail around and they do all these stupid things, and if they just follow the trends, just like, Brian, what you were saying. I mean, there are certain things right now that historically you can say, look, this makes sense to
Yeah.
get the emotion out of it, look at where we're at on things. This is not a...
Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money and Brian Burke of Praxis Capital. And we cut to the third commercial break. We asked this trivia question. Again, the theme is The Wizard of Oz. What was Dorothy's last name? Mark,
No, I don't know.
don't know.
Regis, can I use a lifeline? I tell my wife she likes this movie.
Uh-oh. Ken, you thought it was
Garland.
Garland. No, that is not correct. Her name was Dorothy Gale.
Oh, of course.
course.
Come on, Mark. Why didn't we get that?
Yeah, you got to watch more TV. Okay, and more movies. Ken, you were going to come up with an excellent question for these guys. Go ahead.
Well, knowing that you guys are the pros in real estate, I just want to know how you all feel about the Association of Realtors functionally pumping the sales figures up for the last 5 years, coming out last December and saying, the numbers have been wrong by, I think they said 14%. It was some huge number, which if that happened on Wall Street, man, someone would have lost their job
Yeah,
and
it's
probably
called-
be in jail right now.
But it's called marketing. It's called you got to make
Right.
the next
Well,
sale.
they also call it propaganda, but I mean, were you guys shocked by this? I'm just curious. Were you surprised that
I wasn't surprised in the least because part of the problem that contributed to this is that there's multiple MLSs, and so they're counting a sold property that might have been in 2 different MLSs as being sold twice when really it was once. So it didn't surprise me at all.
Well, and they've, I think the feeling is they've really been a mouthpiece for the interests of the realtors, and the interests of the realtors is to have a rising market and product to sell. So I guess it's disappointing, that's for sure.
Yep.
So it's kind of the old question the data.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, it brings up an interesting point. We have entered a world in the financial service area, at least what I'm seeing. Data is coming out 24/7 constantly on the internet, but nobody's filtering it anymore. I mean, what people used to think was news could be nothing more than rumor or hearsay. And it's a struggle, because if people are going to take action based on unfiltered information, they're going to make bad investment moves.
Well, and we were just talking off the air that you went to visit Phoenix, and you said you saw neighborhoods that just had rows and rows of foreclosed homes, and made a comment about, that is a market that's still declining. And yet I hear anecdotally guys who are saying, "Oh, Phoenix is the market to invest in," and that
I've even seen statistics that have borne that out as well.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah,
in print.
Right. There are statistics that are saying that Phoenix is one of the only MSAs in the country that has actually seen price appreciation at a certain level. So, it must really be just like everything else, a neighborhood by neighborhood analysis.
I believe
even
that too.
even in the Bay Area, you can't generalize about how real estate is doing, because look what's happening in Silicon Valley. It's just you've got price appreciation that's off the charts. You have impossibly high rents, and yet you just go down 880 a little bit to Oakland, and prices in some markets are still declining.
I remember being on Wilshire Boulevard in LA, and I was in a really good area, and then I was on a bus one time, and suddenly Wilshire Boulevard is not an excellent area, the whole street.
It changes, doesn't it?
It sure does. I learned that really quickly.
When you go to different areas of the country, and I find it, and we probably do the same thing with other areas as well, they say the Bay Area. Well, the Bay Area is as different as night and day when you go to various areas.
Sure.
What does Marin County have to do with Oakland? Very little. They're very, very different areas. Good and bad. I'm not trying to, I love Marin County, as you guys do. It's a great area. But Marin County is not San Francisco. Marin County is not Humboldt County. And yet people somehow in other parts, Bay Area, it's just vanilla. It's all
Yeah,
the
you
same.
do hear that a lot.
Homogeneous. Yeah, you do.
And I'm sure Phoenix isn't just Phoenix.
Exactly. That's what I think. That's the point too.
You gonna give us a prediction for the Dow 2012?
Hey, you're going to love this. I did a radio interview. It was a station down in LA. They asked me for my prediction, and I do a lot of quantitative work, and I just say, look, if the market had a historical, just a normal run, law of averages, like the same thing you'd use in baseball. Hey, if a batter hits an average of 325 for 5 years, you assume, okay, I'm going to assume he's going to do it again. I picked the number 1422 on the S&P 500. And that's what the computer said. Well, guess what the latest high was on the S&P 500? 1422. This is the part that's interesting.
Lucky guess.
Well, yeah. hey, there's a little luck in everything.
Right.
But this is what's interesting, is the moral of the story is that we've hit that number in 3 months. So there's a lot of optimism built into things right now. And we all know about Apple. But hey, look, there's optimism in Nike, Costco, a lot of different areas. My worry is that I think people have forgotten that the economy is still very fragile.
Yeah.
And you could come up with a lot of things that could affect it in a bad way. What about Europe? What about if Europe gets worse, which is one of our big export markets? That could affect us. Hey, what happens if China slows down? What effect does that have on
Well, but
California?
you've also been a big technical guy with regard like the 200-day moving average and all that.
Well, that's all uptrend. Everything is all
so
very
far,
much in an
okay.
uptrend.
Okay.
But I worry when people take, the market was up 12% in the first quarter, so I'm just going to assume that the market is going to be up 48% by the end of the year. Hey, wait, guys,
because
this
an
is not
object,
the
an object in motion tends to stay in motion.
Yeah, but
the physics don't work that way.
I
But
think-
what goes up must come down is another rule.
that's right.
You can't forget about that.
Okay, I'm on record on this. I do think the easy money, buy anything and watch it go up, I think that's ended. This earnings season is going to be very telling. If earnings are generally okay, you have room that this thing can continue to run. But I think it's going to be, hey, like I said before, put on your safety belts, because I do think you're going to see some good, bad, and ugly through this earnings season.
Wow.
And if Nancy Pelosi is right, and she thinks Democrats are going to retake the House, and Obama gets reelected, and you've got the Democrats in control, and what's that going to do for?
Well, like you said,
Hey,
in 2014, that's bad.
Go look at my book, Investment Atlas. It's a history book of how the financial markets react. And when you have capital gains rates go above 30%,
Forget it.
the investment market is flattened out.
Okay.
Because at that point, it's too much, it costs too much to invest.
All right, and that
Right.
leads us to our thoughts for the day. Again, Ken Winans from Winans International, thank you very much
Thank you for
joining us.
having me. It's always been fun to see you guys.
That's right. We'll definitely have to have you on again. Yeah, it was a very good show. All right, thoughts for the day. Do you have any idea how cheap stocks were in 2009? Wall Street was being called Walmart Street. And Mark, you have a dog, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, listen, if he doesn't understand rollover, try first introducing him to an IRA transfer. Ba-da-bum-ching. Like that. Okay, tune in next week to the Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. Our guest next week will be a very special friend of mine, Paul Kingsman, who won the bronze medal in the 1988 Olympics. You won't want to miss it. He's going to describe one of the most exciting finishes in Olympic history. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown. We're wishing you the best of investing. So long. Excellent show, guys.
Awesome.
Right on.
That was good.
Yeah, that was
Hey,
good.
Edward, remind me, I will gladly.